Hi, my name is Richard Capone. I'm the CEO of Let's Go Learn. And today I want to talk to you about why you should front load your secondary math interventions. Now, you may agree or disagree with this notion. If you disagree, I'm going to show you the data to convince you. If you agree, I'm going to show you data to help convince your colleagues into action. The dilemma here is that implementing a math reform effort in secondary is very hard. So first of all, modern math standards require both foundational skills and math concepts. And so this is really important to understand this. A lot of people will argue that really it's all about the conceptual teaching, but no, it's not. Core programs will focus on the conceptual understanding, and that's why you train your teachers. They go through a lot of PD. They learn how to teach math in this new modern way. But Common Core or other modern standards all assume the mastery of foundational skills. This is really important to realize this, because you cannot do some of this higher level math if your foundational skills are not automatic. Now here's the other tough thing, is the pace of math in secondary is very fast. There's no time to catch up. There's very little room. So what happens is, think about you have a car that's driving along at a steady pace. That's your Tier 1 students, the green car. Your Tier 2 students in the RTI model, the ones who are below or far below, they're in a car that has 1 or 2 flat tires. They can't catch up. The overall speed of the car is reduced once it is hindered with foundational skills gaps. And so no matter what, they can't keep up with the normal pace. So year after year, they fall behind. This is important because a lot of schools throughout the United States are hovering around a 30, 35, or 40% proficiency in math. Now that means, if that's your case, that you have 50 to 60, maybe plus % of your students who are behind. They can't catch up very easily. That's why in RTI model, it makes sense. You have a Tier 1, 2, and 3, and you have intervention for the Tier 2 students. But the problem in our case here is we have too many students who would be in Tier 2. And so we have to embed Tier 2 and Tier 1. Let me show you the data that supports this. Okay, so first of all, if we look across the younger grades, the data we're looking at here is all of these students have participated in a year-long Math Edge program, which is our intervention, and they use it with fidelity. So all of these students have high use. If you look at the grade 3 students, the students who started off at the beginning of the year in the blue bar, they were far below basic and had over a year gain. So we're closing the gap for those third graders, right? And then the students who were below or at or above, the red and the green for grade 3, they made good gains too. Now if we look at grade 4, we see that the bar is not quite as high. So the far below students had the Math Edge supplemental throughout the whole year. They made good gains. And now we look at 5th, it's flat, and look at 6th, there's an inversion that happens. This is interesting. Those students who start off the year at far below still made good gains. The difference between the purple and the red line is the intervention. The Math Edge gave good steady gains. But what's happening is the gains in the core program have gone down. So now let's take a look at 6th grade, because really that's middle school or intermediate, and 7th and 8th grade are the same. Right? They're still going to have that same inversion. But we see this flip. So what's happening is, again, by 6th grade or above, students are not learning as much in their core programs if they are behind. This is really important. Grade 6 now, if you look at the graph there, those 6th graders are the students who don't have any supplemental gain. So if you look at that, now let me bring this up here, look at number 1. Those are students who start off the year far below. They're making about 0.35 years of gain. If you think about that, they're making only 0.35 years of gain during the school year, okay, throughout the year. So that means they're really falling behind. The below group, who started off at the beginning of the year below, they're making, 0.5, and then you have the on-grade students who are making 0.75 or almost 0.8. That's interesting. That's a big difference. Now, let's add in supplemental support throughout the whole year. That's what 4, 5, and 6. We stack it right on. Now this data, these are LGL Math Edge data. This is with quite a large sample. It's about 700 students we're looking at. Now the 4, 5, and 6 shows you what Edge does. So those are the students who had high use, and we see it tacked right on there. Now here's the problem. Even with an intervention that's personalized, very specific, data-driven, right? They did about 12 hours throughout the whole year, 12 to 14 hours, maybe a half hour a week spread out to the whole year. They're only achieving 0.75 or 0.7 years of gain. That's number 4, total. So those students, even with this amazing intervention that doubled the amount of gains with the far below students, they're still falling behind. So this is a numbers game, folks, right? How do we achieve this? So now let's go ahead and look at the far right cluster. Grade 6 with fall intervention, or this could be summer intervention. So if we look at 4, 5, 6 on the very bottom, that is what the intervention will do. It'll boost them up. But if you front load it, now those students who are far below technically are no longer far below, they're below. So now you're going to get the core gains of 2. So 4 plus 2 gives you that bonus. Now the below students are going to get the 5 gains, and then they get the gains of being a core, getting core instruction starting off the year on grade level. So there's the 3. So just by shifting our intervention at the beginning of the year or in the summer, we are getting 0.2 to 0.3 years of additional gain. That's an amazing multiplier effect if we really think about it. And so this really supports the model notion that we need to front load or summer load our interventions in secondary, because once you're around the 30% proficiency or 35% proficiency, you have so many students that are behind. In math, when you're behind, you're not just a little behind. Students get behind from 3rd grade up through 8th grade, and so you have a long group of students who are all over the place, right? So this is really important. We have a white paper on this, so read the white paper, and it'll go into detail with this data. And if you want to talk to our specialist or any of us about this, we're happy to discuss it, because we're all about the data. We're all about trying to change your program, try to operationalize your reform effort so that it actually is effective and works for your school district. All right, thank you very much.